Welcome to the Awakening Spiritual Gifts broadcast. So happy to be here. I had to adjust some things, so let's see if that works. For some reason, the pre and the post camera changes sometimes. Anyway, how is everyone doing today? Excited to be here. So just for everyone who's watching now and everyone who's going to watch the replay, I just want to let you guys know that we're going to be making some changes here, but I've got some fun announcements and then also some changes, but I'm going to be making those on Monday. So I'll be here at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Monday. So to make some of those announcements, that'll be pretty fun. As always, go ahead and you can start leaving any of your questions or comments just here. Put them wherever you're at, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. Go ahead and put your questions and your comments up, and we'll get to those in just a minute. So anyway, today's Friday. I'm excited that it's Friday because, y'all, it's been a week. I've got like a few more hours of just focus, heavy work. And then, yeah, today I'm all about, like, I'm going to go swimming with my daughters this later today. Actually, it'll be more like afternoon, evening, like 4:30. But still, I'm like, I'm just going to do some relaxing and self-care after this busy week. It's been fun, though. This is amazing, Natalie. I feel like I'm the person after party that won't go home, huh? So you know what? So there's this other, I started like earlier last year, and it started giving me an idea for doing this here is I started watching. There was a show that I used to watch, or a broadcast that I used to watch, and it's so true. I just would be like, oh my gosh, it's that time. Oh, it's like a little warm hug. So I'm hoping there are going to be some changes, but I can kind of give you a little bit of sneak peek. It'll be a little bit less on this page, but if you're an Intuition member or an Intuition Gym member, Natalie, you are, like, you'll have, I just felt like I just wanted to go a little bit deeper sometimes, a little bit longer, and then also just, and then just time-wise with some of the new announcements and some of the shifts, like there's just going to be some changes, so I'm excited, but, yeah, so I hope it'll still be an exciting time for everybody to come watch. So I'm excited. All right, well, let's do a little bit of the energy of the day, shall we? Just kind of like the message and I think there was like a hatchery of flies that just hatched right next to my house. I've killed like 5 of them in 24 hours, and now there's a 6th one. So sorry if he starts bugging and flying in my face. But what was I saying? Anyway, sorry, that was really distracting. This little, I don't know. Sometimes flies and things that come in have messages. Have you guys ever done that? It's really funny. I've had like client sessions or even like conversations, or if I'm right in the middle of doing something and a fly comes in and just starts bugging me, I'll stop and listen and be like, okay, what message do you have for me, fly? And I'll just kind of like listen and kind of sit for a minute and see what the symbolism is and why this fly is bothering me at that particular time. And I kid you not, it stops bugging me after that. It leaves me alone after I listen to it. So there's definitely power in listening to the symbols that come up. Okay, but anyway, so let's go back to, let's look at some of the energy for the day, especially we're leaning into weekend. So let's see what we have kind of coming up for weekend too, and a message for us. Okay, so let's see. Let me look and see what's going on around us. Okay, so I'm seeing the way that the energy looks in the sky right now is it just looks like some wind or like some waves like this, but it's going through the energy in the air. So it's not literally like water waves, but it's kind of just moving like that with just this energy. It has kind of some lighter bluish, goldy, kind of light blue, shimmering kind of look to it. And then the intensity and the patterns in which it's flowing, it looks like there's a bit of just kind of a reprieve, just kind of a lift off of some intensity, and it just feels like a breeze blowing through. The coloring there reminds me of a bit of just like healing, washing away some things, like lean into it, rest, just let things go and just let things be carried away. So if you really want to lean into the energy around you right now, just that would be a great thing to do. Is just let it go, let it take things, let it go, like Frozen. Because that's kind of the coloring of it. That blue that she does in the Elsa, the Frozen. Anyway, but yeah, it's just like just kind of let it take things away from you. And let me see what else there is going into the weekend. It's actually is a way to even strengthen you. What I'm seeing is it's like, okay, if you had, so this is the analogy here for the energy. If you were carrying a bunch of things in your arms, okay, like, right, like if I got all these things, I'm like holding them, and then you're going to transition to something else and you're going to be handed some new things. If your hands are full, it's like, oh, here, I can't quite hold it all. I bet that's really loud on my microphone. Sorry, my microphone's really picks up every sound. But so really this opportunity of letting things blow away is a way to just release and let things out. And so that your arms are free, because some of what's coming next is gifts and or just like some things, the next level of things that are coming to you, and you want to be free and open up more capacity and more space for you to receive what's coming next. So that's really cool. So this weekend, if you could do some of that, just like let it go, release so that you can be free. And that when the next things come, your arms will be open, your heart will be open, your mind will be open, your energy, your spirit, everything will be ready for what's next that you're going to receive. We're truly at a time where it's just all about like we're leveling up, we're getting these new frequencies. It's these new frequencies can create some chaos and some uprooting of any of the old that doesn't serve us, but it is really good to make room for the good and the new. So, and this is so cool. This is awesome, Natalie. You totally felt that. Yeah, let it go. Yeah, like and to even, and I love the fact that you even mentioned this part, like twist for stretching arms. And this would be actually really good, even like physically. This is going to go through mental, body, emotions, like all of these things when it's up for releasing. Doing things in a physical way can be very symbolic and help all the other things, the emotions and the mental, go clear as well. So definitely step into that self-care, stretch, release in all areas. So very cool. Very, very, very cool. And then I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. No, that's basically it. Just leaning into it. Lots of love energy. I love that kind of shade of blue because it definitely is kind of a healing water, and a healing and receiving some of that love. And there's some of the things that are coming next, which is kind of interesting. Well, so like I'm seeing this coloring, and then up above it, it's looking more like a deeper orange, kind of gold, and some deep oranges in it. It reminds me a little bit of fire. Have I ever told you some of my this is kind of just my personal impressions. I am no way just like saying like this is absolute truth, but one time I was reading in the scriptures, or no, actually I wasn't reading. I just had kind of flashed to some of the energies that I was seeing and experiencing, and it was reminding me of some of the fire. And I flashed to some of those scriptures where it talks about how how in the last days our earth is going to be burned by fire, like there's going to be fires. And I started thinking, like, I do believe, like, obviously we've experienced physical fires, right? California, Australia, we've been seeing some big fires. But the impression that I had at that moment was that what if the part of the fire that is going to be cleansing the earth is also an energetic fire? Right? Fire is one of those energies. It can be scary for people because it feels like it's going to burn, but it can also warm. It can also bring light. It can create change and transition. It can purify. Like there's a lot of great things with the energy of fire and that element. And I just had this thought that it was like, what if God is sending forth some type of fire energy onto the planet that is part of the spirit that's just being poured upon the earth. And it is creating this like, it is what helps separate the wheat and the tares. It's what brings this purification to the surface and makes people like, you can't be a fence sitter. You can't just plop in the middle anymore. You have to like choose. Who are you going to be? What are you going to stand for? Like, it's just kind of this poop or get off the pot kind of thing. And I wondered if it was kind of a fire on the earth, energetically, like, but it was kind of like that's part of the fulfillment of that scripture is an energetic fire. So I'd just be really curious if you guys, what you guys think of that, because that was just kind of an impression with the energies. It's like, oh, this is like fire element in the air going on. Yeah, let it burn. That's what I say. I'm like, fire is like, I used to, because the fire element, the shadow side of it is destruction. It can burn, it can hurt, it can be painful, right? Like there's the shadow, like the fire. If you think of fire itself, it's a little bit more of the intimidating kind of element that we can lean into. But yeah, there's so much good in it, and so I've had to really come to terms with fire in my life, fire in my personality. And that it can be good, and that it doesn't just necessarily mean destruction. That's why I love that movie Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Y'all, I was like totally relating to Lava Girl. If you've not watched that, I used to watch it with my kids, and I started sobbing at the end, talking to Lava Girl, saying how she's not destruction, she's not fire, she's not this, she is light. I was like, whoa. So love it. Okay. Well, all right. Well, welcome. Let's get going on some of these little questions here. Liz, welcome. I love it. You just a general reading today. How are you doing, my dear? Let's see. Let's see what comes up for you. Okay, Liz. Okay, let's see what the energy is doing for you today. Okay, so there's a bit of this energy. This is kind of interesting because actually this pattern I've seen in a few people now. But because I'm seeing kind of this energy coming down through your eyes, kind of through your mind and through your eyes. So it comes here, and then it just kind of falls down. And it's like looking at your hands and your feet, and it's just so it's kind of telling me that perhaps you've been really seeking, like, what do you do next? What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to be? It's kind of this seeking, and then what do I do? And feeling a little bit like you could be feeling maybe a little directionless, or feeling a little stuck, or feeling like you have a desire to move forward, but you're feeling like you're not quite moving forward right now. And that's just kind of where it's just leading, like, and it just leaves you feeling right there. The other thing too, the pattern that I'm seeing, and I've seen this in other people and with you as well, Liz, is that it may even be like questioning, like, well, what am I doing wrong? What am I not hearing? What am I supposed to be doing? And you could be feeling like you're not doing something, you're not being productive or valuable or whatever that is. And the similar pattern that I'm seeing is that it could possibly be just not that you're not supposed to do something, but it's more of a wait. Like there's a timing, like there's a time and a season. I love that scripture, like to everything and the song, to everything there is a time and a season, and turn, right? And that quite possibly this is just like a hold for a moment. Just pause, just be yourself. Just know that it's all okay, that yes, it's here, but it's not time to take action yet. It's almost like I'm seeing some, like if you're standing on the front line, getting ready to like, okay, I'm ready to go. But then you've got to wait for other people to be ready to go, or other situations, or just the timing of it. And so that when all the things are lined up, and then it's go, and then everyone is ready to move forward at the same time. So this is going to be really fascinating, where this has been a pattern in multiple people that I've seen now. What is going on? Like, what are we waiting for? And then what is going to be like this? What is go time look like? And what does that mean? So I would definitely support, I would definitely like just keep self-care, keep strengthening yourself, keep just like ramping up your light as much as possible. and withstand some of those, try to withstand some of those negative things, and like the energy of the day, to let go of any of the old stuff, any of those old things. This is kind of interesting right here. I'm supposed to do a Kundalini healing and it was canceled since I triggered her. Very interesting. Since you triggered her. Have you experienced triggering anyone else in your life? Is that, what's the hair doing? Have you experienced that before? And how is it making you feel? What is it bringing up? Like, I would actually say that there's probably something in that experience right there, that it's like, although this experience is here, it has strands all the way back that you could possibly let go and heal. And the energy right now going on the planet would be great to send it away. And I feel like that's actually a message for multiple people. It's just, let's find any of the patterns or any of the strands of, like you said, like, not that I know of that you've had that, but I wonder if there's any similarities to any other life experiences, and it's part of this like purification process. Like, oh, and if you haven't ever experienced it, it could just be this experience now, like, well, it's going to trigger now. I'm just going to let it go and let it blow away in the wind. Yeah, I definitely know that I have got some stuff. I had things brought up and like emotions yesterday that brought up. And then it was like, for some reason, my healing lately, anytime I have something surface, it doesn't just like, oh, we're going to clear that now. It's like showing me all these hidden strands that have been part of me through my entire life. And it's like, I go through my whole timeline, like early adulthood, teenage years, down to being a child. It's like, and so it's giving me this opportunity to go, see how that pattern is there through all out. So I think these things are coming up for all of us. It's just this, and here's something that has all these layers. Now let's let it go. So sending love to you on that. Keep, releasing and building yourself up. Sending love to you. That's kind of especially after you said abandonment. Yeah, that's not a fun emotion. But yeah, if you can find some of those strands that go all the way back to your life, allow them to go. Cry if you need to, journal them out, move your body, choose to release it, like any of those things. So sending love to you on that, Liz. Yeah, we can totally look at pets. Linda, let's go to yours. Pets are fun to look at. I got my little doggy. Sometimes and my cat, sometimes I listen to them. I got my dog back after 2 years of not having her due to certain sense of moving. She's nervous. I think that nervous I will leave her again. Oh, family. Oh, let's look at that. Probably a combination of both. That's a tricky one because it's just connections and where I'm actually just curious where was the like what kind of situation was your dog in before? Like living, like who did is it a she or he? I didn't pay attention to that. She. So where was she living before, and what was her situation like with them? Was it a good home and she loved them? I do see that there is a little bit of strands, like when I'm looking at her, there was something about not just the people, but is there something maybe like she really enjoyed the routine, the nature? Was there a yard that she liked or something? But there's just something like about the daily routine and the nature and the life, like, okay, so this and kicked out of an apartment. Okay, so it wasn't a yard. I wonder if there was a walk, a neighborhood, another little neighborhood doggy friend that they would know. There's something about the environment that that she did enjoy. So that kind of makes me, curious there. Oh, she's got a very lovely personality in this sense. I think she felt, oh, this is so cute. I can totally see doggies feeling like this. It's almost like she felt like they needed her or someone needed her. I almost want to say the woman. It's just like, I just see like a feminine energy that the dog was just like, oh, well, if I need, like, they need me, like, I'm a support. I give them love. I give them courage and strength. Like, I'm good for them. And so it's kind of this feeling of, well, what are they going to do without me? Because I help them so much. It's so cute to have this little doggy because they do. They just love the peoples and give them support. And so, um, and oh, okay, right here, a female. Yeah, female energy. The oldest daughter needed her. Yeah, it's like I'm just seeing this concern, but it's not a concern for herself. Like, oh, I'm feeling all these things. It's more like, well, what about the other person? They needed me. I was good for them. I helped them. They're so, I love dogs, and little children are so intuitive. And the environment right here, you said a doggy door, so probably some freedom to just go out whenever she wanted. So those are the two things that I'm really kind of picking up, is just some of the something about the environment, and then feeling like, oh, well, what are they going to do without me? Because I was really good for them and I helped them. So that was kind of cool. That is, she feels very loving. I love that aspect of dogs. They just really want to love. So, all right, let's go to the next one. All right. Let me know how that helps, Melinda. Kenji. Hi, Kenji. How you doing? Oh, speaking of dogs, you got a cute picture with a dog. Okay, and this is so cool. I was thinking about energetic fire, the heart energy today as well. As COVID restrictions are being lifted, I think it will explode. I think that I absolutely think that it's going to build. And I think that, like, the COVID thing is just almost like an element of like this fire energy. I really believe it started coming on about 2012. There were just some shifts and some things going on there. There was a lot of new energetic patterns I could see coming in. So I really think it started about 2012. And that was kind of like the starting. And then we have kind of these great about 7-year cycles. And then we completed a 7-year cycle. And then now we are into a second 7-year cycle. And now it's like intensifying. Think about it. Just like 2 years ago, we start seeing it more and more. Also, fire energy. It can either inspire people and wake them up, or it can also create agitation and arguments and things not working well. And so you got all this fire energy, and then you got this COVID thing that's almost like a lid and trying to suppress people and shove them back down. Well, you can't shove that fire energy down. It honestly will trigger people to just like either sit and fester and it starts to build, or they start getting angry, they explode. And so whatever it's going to look like, it's going to build. Yeah, as soon as some of these things like come out, and if they try to keep the lid on too much, it's only going to make the people feel it even more. And which that is why fire energy is such a beautiful catalyst for change. That's one thing, even in our own lives. Sometimes we're afraid of feeling fire, feeling angry. Well, did you know anger is not even the most negative emotion on the vibration scale? It's not at all. Like, there's so many more lower vibration frequencies. Anger is actually just below things like courage. Think about it. Sometimes fire is what is helpful to create change, to say enough, to hold a boundary, to find your strength, to make the change that you know that you got to do, to take the leap that you've been being afraid to make. Like, anger can be a tool. And so if you're feeling that, acknowledge it and see if you can use it for the light side instead of just the shadow side. So great insight, Kenji. So glad you're here. Thank you for mentioning it. Because it's going to be really interesting. Sometimes I feel like grab your popcorn because we're still not done with this shifting. All right, let's go to Carissa. Let's go to you, my dear. Okay, I have a blaring issue lately and with wanting to be wanted and favored with certain people. It's driving me nuts. What layers? Okay, yeah, let's look at this. You know, it's interesting because I think I've seen some of these strands before and verbalized it because it's seeming very familiar to me when I look at the energy of it. So I actually think it's more of a reflection of some parts of yourself that have been dormant, and they're almost screaming on the inside of you to to let it all out. And what this looks like to me is that you are meant for more of a, you are meant to be seen more. You are meant to be on some kind of platform, to be heard, to be seen, to have your voice, to be a leader, to to help create some shifts and transformations. Like, and so because, and I don't know what you've been, what some things in your life have been like, but it feels like maybe you've been trying to suppress it or just trying to be like everyone else and like, okay, let me just be like everyone else. I can't even tell you, Chris, how much this reminds me of what I went through. Like seriously, like it's so familiar. Like as I'm feeling the emotions of it and stuff, I'm like, oh, I get it. I get this feeling so much. And I think I might have even shared this experience before, but like I was going to like these retreats and these classes and courses. It was like over a decade ago. But it was like I was going to these things, and there's one event, and I was good friends with, and this is like the way I was. This is the way I definitely had this kind of a trend, but I had a lot of friends that were doing big things, and they were influencers and authors and speakers, and they were my friends. And it was kind of like I had some of those desires inside me, but it was like I was just kind of friends with them, so I kind of felt like I was in their shadows. And there was this one time I was at this retreat, and I was out and I was looking at this river, and it was like I was feeling all this like frustration, and I didn't know why. And at the retreat, I just happened to be put in I got assigned to sleep in this twin mattress in a separate building. So my friends were the ones hosting this event and retreat, but I was tucked in a little twin bed up in an attic in a separate building in a corner, and I just felt invisible and I felt small. And it was starting to really make me angry. And I was like, and so I was out at this river, and I started to look around at the rocks and the way the water was moving. And then I saw these big rocks, and then there was these smaller rocks and medium ones, and then there were smaller rocks that were kind of getting washed down the river, and they would get bumped up against this larger rock. And it was just like, it was kind of this teaching moment for me, where I looked at this rock and looked at some of the rocks gathering around the larger rock. And it was like pushing into my head, like, Martina, you are acting like a small rock when you were born to be a big rock. And not in a prideful way, like I'm better than you. But it's like, if you're meant to be heard, if you're meant to stand out, if you're meant to I'm not saying this in a prideful way, but if you're meant to speak and do some of these things, and you're holding it back, and you're trying to just, blend in with the crowd and not be heard and stuff, then that's a violation of your spirit, and it's agitating you. And so on the inside, I wanted to scream like, I'm a big rock too. And then I had this, and then it was like, then there was a little bit of other kind of experiences that I had, and I was kind of taught that being a leader and letting your voice be heard and being seen does not come from anyone else. I cannot wait around for someone to invite me, because that's what I was doing. It was like, oh, someone pick me. Can someone pick me? And it was like, they're not going to pick you. Sometimes you have to raise your hand and say, hi, I'm willing to speak up. I'm willing to lead. I'm willing to be seen and heard. And it can be scary at times, but it's also, if it was what you were created to be, then doggone it, you better own it, and you better raise your hand and do it. And so it was like I had that kind of voice kind of telling me that. And I was like, that's what I was doing, is I was waiting for people to give me that stamp of approval and give me permission. And sometimes it's just not there, and you have to step forward and take those courageous leaps of faith that can feel terrifying, and own who you were created to be. And I hope that makes sense. I just felt like some fire was flowing through my mouth, and I was kind of having an out-of-body experience for a moment. Like, that was kind of my experiences, but it felt like it might be good for others. So let me know if it was, because that was definitely, it was kind of like, yes. And there's no, like, there are people that are meant to go and serve in other ways, and they don't have the desire for a spotlight. because that's not what they were created to be. So I'm not saying there's one that's better than another. All my message is to honor and do what you were created to be, whatever it is. Because if we all just show up with the way we are, then all parts and pieces are taken care of, right? Like all roles and responsibilities and all the tools, everything is going to be met if we each step into what we were created to be. And so Carissa, I feel like it feels like you are just feeling the burn and feeling some of that, like, I have a desire to be seen. And it's okay to have a desire to be favored. Now, the only place it gets a little flipped is when you put your worth tied to it or your happiness tied to it. Like, I'm only happy if I have their approval, or I'm only happy if they like me, or they say good things, or I'm only happy if they notice me. That's where it kind of gets into the shadow side of it. But the core root of it is because you are meant for some of that spotlight a bit more. Carissa, is this helping, my dear? I would love to get some of your feedback on this, because I just see you have a lot of valuable things. I also think too, and because Natalie, I'm just reading your, like you even mentioned too, Natalie, I have the same issue. I want to be the exception or the favorite. And I think that is a part of a core human desire as well. I think that actually comes from being born into this physical mortality and having that separation from God. And so when we're more at one with, the at one-ment, right? Like the atonement, the more that we're one with the Lord and one with God, it's like it can heal some of those things, and it doesn't matter as much because you are favored. You are favored, but the experience of mortality and being torn from it can actually bring us some of that feeling of, you can bring us some of that feeling of separation and not being as favored. So, and Chris, I'm just going to see really fast, look at anything else in your energy there. Yeah, it's like when I look at your energy, here's the other thing too. Sometimes the greatest struggle we have is where your greatest gifts and your strengths lie. So I do see some patterns that are through your whole life trying to make you feel small and trying to dismiss you and shove you to the side. And it's like almost to dismiss what you have to say or discredit it or make it feel insignificant or non-important. There's some life experiences that are trying to tell you that. And if that's the case, you can look at the pattern and you can know that, right, like Satan is the father of all lies. And so when you're feeling down and you're feeling those messages like you're not important, nobody, like one of the primary messages I get is that, shut up, Martina. No one wants to see you. No one wants to hear what you have to say. It's all about my voice and shutting up. It makes me want to cry because those messages are coming in strong from you this week too. It's like, shut up. Nobody wants to hear you. Like my kids are saying it, and just like all these people around me, all these situations, or they don't understand what you're saying. It's like, just be quiet. You're going to do more harm than good. I mean, like strong voices telling you to shut up. But if that's the case, and Satan is the father of all lies, and he's a big fat liar, then the opposite must be true. That you are important, you must be seen. The things you have to say and share with the world are super important. And so you better speak up louder and you better be seen more. I love this, Natalie. Gosh, I feel this. Yeah, this applies to all of us. but like, I love this. You're like, please never shut up. I love you. I love you. But it's like, but what messages are those voices telling you, Carissa, or you, Natalie, or I'm trying to think, like, there's a lot of other, who else is on here? What are those voices telling you? And if they're and those voices that are making you feel small and shrinking you down and making you feel bad, and they're the lies, then you can say, oh, then the opposite must be truth, because God doesn't make me feel this way. And so you can do opposite. It's like a tool. You could just flip that adversary the bird and say, you tell me to shut up, I'm going to speak louder. You tell me that my creations aren't good enough, then I'm going to create more and I'm going to share them more. You say that my writing sucks, well then guess what? I'm going to write more. You say that I'm not smart, guess what? Then that must mean I have some pretty brilliant, intelligent things inside me that I've got to get out because you're trying to make me feel dumb. You think, oh, nobody wants to be your friend. That means that to be your friend means it's a very treasured thing that maybe only a few people get to experience because you are that good of a friend and you are that like amazing. Like, don't listen to those voices. And if you hear them, you use them and you flip them and then let them strengthen you. And remember that those voices, once they come in, then they're going to go through all these other levels. In fact, in the intuition gym, we have a whole class called the tactics of the enemy. That's just once they go to your head, then they talk in like first person, they'll talk at you, then they talk first person, then they're going to go to like a loved one. They're going to create situations. They're going to create scenarios where it's going to make you believe it like it's true. Like this must be true because it's happening in all this place and your brain is looking for evidence. So it's going to believe it even more. So, love this, Monica, that you've constantly, then that means you got some stuff inside you to get out and speak up. Yeah, so listen to those messages and flip them because I'll tell you what, man, I don't know why I got waterworks today and but I'm feeling so much love for you guys and so much passion and heart and like, because there's so much inside of every single one of us. It is, no two people are the same. And I know we hear that and that sounds so cliche. But I'll tell you, like, I'm a witness to that. When I look at someone's energy and I see the light in them, and then coupled with all the 20 plus years of tools, looking at their handwriting, looking at their body language, looking at their facial features, hearing the words that they say, seeing their spiritual gifts, seeing the way things move through them. Like, I've worked with enough people to see these patterns, and I'm not joking when I say you are one of a kind, and you don't have to do more than just be yourself. You just be you, and your light and your essence changes the world. You change my life. You make my life better just by sharing your light. And it's not that you have to be, like blow people over with it. You could just simply be you and exude it and connecting to it. And whether we acknowledge it consciously or not, subconsciously and on an energetic, very basic spiritual connective level, we all feel it. So thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for being you. Like, thank you for existing. Gosh dang, now I'm just bawling. Like, I just feel like, thank you guys for existing. Jeez Louise. Thanks for being here. Thanks for just your light. You guys, this is the way that we light the world. We don't have to be or do anything more than what we already are. The trick there is to believe who we are, to trust it, and to love who we are. And it's like, and it is tough because like at the end of the day, sometimes the whole world can hate us, but it's not their opinions that matter. It's not their viewpoint that can give or take away that true knowing and feeling on the inside. It can hurt, it can feel like it, but it can also be an opportunity to purify and to release all those attachments that we have to other people's opinions, other people's viewpoints, whether or not they like. It's like, no, I know who I am, and I love who I am. I know who I am. I know whose I am, and that's enough. And that's enough. And as long as God knows the intentions of my heart, as long as my efforts and my heart, as long as I just sanctify it and give it to him and say, I've done the best that I can, that's enough. That's enough. We don't have to be perfect. It's just that alignment, and the rest The rest really doesn't matter at the end of the day. So, wow. Oh, thank you. Oh, Karen, thank you. Amen. Interesting. Nancy, thank you. Love you. Love you, Natalie. Love you, Chris. I love everybody else who's just watching and not commenting. Yeah, you guys, we do need each other. Oh, and I love this. Yes, Natalie, home base. This is the home base frequency right here. Home base, when you know who you are and whose you are. And it's like, come home. It's that eye of the storm. When the storm is going, you can peace be still. You can be still in that eye of the storm. And the more you're still, then the greater the storm can rage on around you, but you will not be, you can see the storm, but you're not being swayed and tossed to and fro, being thrown about in the storm. So I guess that's my message today. We'll end on that. Just that whole peace, be still, and you are loved, and I'm grateful for you. So thanks for being here. All right, deep breath, everyone. Sending you lots of love and a hug through the computer. Hug through the computer. So thank you guys for being here. And thank you again for watching and just for starting in May. So next week we will definitely I'll be announcing a couple changes that are coming, and I hope that you guys like them, that they'll work well for you. And yes, I love this virtual energy group hug. Yes, hugs to everybody. So, okay, well, thank you for being here, everyone. Love you, and I'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.